this bucket of worries that you own. And the bucket of worries always stays full. You get rid of a worry and another one will replace it. So all your life, don't sweat it. You'll always have a full bucket of worries. Well, you have a full bucket of fears too. Because worries and fears are pretty much the same, aren't they? Well, in middle management, you saw that this didn't end, it kept going on. That all of a sudden I had to learn how to control fear, in that I had to say, okay, I have to either be the toughest or I'm going to be the lowest. I ended up in sort of this sphere of life in that area. And I looked forward and I said, this isn't a pattern I want to do for life. You know, being the top, this isn't fun. You lose some of your friends, because they look and they say, I'm around him. If they want to bully someone, they might bully the second. So I lost some of my really, really good friends that didn't want to play in that arena. He says, I got to look at ending this. Well, I continued on, and I looked, and I started learning. I says, I got to learn about this fear thing. And I really took it on, and I started learning about it, and it's been a life's endeavor to learn about handling my fears. And I get you don't really handle fears. What you do is you work with it. I started setting up fear as a friend. No, fear is my friend. Because most of the time it helps me out. Keeps me from walking in the street and get hit by a car. Okay? Make sure I put in the chair every time I get up from the table because I fear my wife yelling at me. Pretty much, fear is my buddy. Fear has protected me when I've got into critical situations where if I did one thing, I might die or lose business or something. If I did another, I could win. And I just had this feeling that I should do it this way, and I did it. And sometimes I didn't think there was a right answer in the short run, but many times I found it was the most beautiful answer in life that I could have gotten, just by listening to my friend Fear. But what I found about my friend is he does have some shortcomings. My friend Fear, he or she, I'm not sure. I haven't put a gender on it. I just use the word he. But I think sometimes when it does some of these jokes, it's a she. Because we have all males here today. But it will be frightened of something absolutely stupid. It will put a fear in my mind of something that absolutely does not exist. And I know intellectually it doesn't exist. I can sit and reason my way around this fear, and I can own that sucker intellectually. But here, that old saying, this is to be feared. So through my life, I started finding tools. I call them tools. Less handling and more tools to work with my friend Fear. And these tools have kept me in good stead for walking a different line than most people. Now, if you've heard some of my stories, you see I sort of walk a different road than most. And different things are really cool for me. And every time you get into something different, there's fear. Like going on and giving 10 new speeches. fear is something that if you're a friend with it, you can look at your friend and figure them out. Because friends are sometimes have a little impropriety, right? Friends also do the wrong thing sometimes. Friends sometimes screw you over. But they're your friend. So you look at them and say, well, how can I work with this with my friend? So that we both win at it. Because fear wants to win. Fear wants to win, and its win is your survival. It's your survival, and you're continuing along the same way is its best answer for you to live. So it will have a tendency to want to go back and do the same thing because it's comfortable there, and so it fears moving into new areas. So you have to work with your friend and say, friend, we're going to just take this other route. Come on, let's go. And you walk with fear and you go some other places. You say, you stand behind me now. If there's anything I really know, you be right there to show me what's wrong. And then because it's there, and it's happy doing its job, it gets along with you. And you work out a nice compromise. And it stays with you all your life. At least till 70. I know till 70, because I'm there. In fact, at this age, sometimes some of the old fears become stronger. They become irrational sometimes when you get into these ages. But with a nice toolkit, you handle them. But my exit strategy, when I was going from middle school, I was going to high school, and I says, kids are a lot bigger in high school. And Mr. Fear says, yeah. And I'm 5'8", and I was pretty tall in middle school. But you get to high school, and the kids were growing right by me. And they are getting bigger. Well, Mr. Fear said, let's see how you can get out of this, Roland, because you got to transition now. You got time to change your life. Let's move you out of this fear spot. And the next thing, and just sort of get rid of this power spot you're in. Are you having fun at it? Nah, it's dull. I don't want it. Let's go see how we can change it. So I says, well, in the summer I will sort of, not talk to people and sort of let it slide. And that summer, the universe has this wonderful sense of humor. And fear, I think, participates on the sidelines with it. But in this summer, I got to go to the Minneapolis or the Minnesota Sportsman Show. And it's in a big coliseum. And in there they have bait casting, and they have animals, wild animals from around the states, and they have all the heavy motorboats and all the cool stuff that us kids want to go look at. And I couldn't afford it, but at the park they had a contest for casting. And I entered that, and I practiced, and I became really good at bait casting. And they had these big hula hoop sort of things in the water, and you'd bait cast at one at each distance. And I became really good at it. So I won a free Sportsman Show ticket. And man, but I had to go alone. So I got on the bus and I went alone down to the Sportsman Show. And I got in there and I was walking around, and I said, wow, wouldn't it be fun to look at all these people that are crowded here? There's no room. I can go sneak behind all those curtains because I'm alone. I don't have a whole group of people with me. So I snuck behind the curtains and I walked along. And I was having a ball, and I came to this curtain. I heard sort of a scratching there. And I said, what's this? And so I got right up against the curtain. I opened the curtain like this. And I jumped back, just absolutely frightened. There was a wolverine right at the gate, and it had pushed the thing this far. It was this far from, I could smell its breath, and I could get the sweat going on me. And a wolverine is the most terrifying thing in the whole world. I have never seen a more fierce animal when I watch them on TV, and I have never seen a more fierce animal when it is this close to you. And I just, my whole body just stopped, and I was done. And as I went away, you know, the fear sort of went down, but I says, man, that'd be terrible meeting a wolverine. Well, I should have got the premonition. So I started walking around the Sportsman Show more. I walked, and I was having a ball looking at stuff. And all of a sudden, someone went, guess what? Some of my followers that remembered me as a hero at the school came and said, hi, Roland, how are you? So we started talking, and then they saw this other group coming with this fella, and before I could say anything, they said, our guy could be your guy. I was like, oh, well, I might as well play this out because it's in the middle of a show. Nothing's going to happen. Okay, and I can just say we'll meet somewhere, and I won't meet. So I said, okay, and I sort of played it a little. And this guy comes up with his two buddies. And he looks at me, and I looked at my two buddies. That's all I remember. That's all I remember. The next thing I remember was looking at the ground and feeling my jaw hurt. That's the last thing I remember. And I looked, and I was just laying on the ground, and I was sore all over. And I looked up, and people were sort of walking by, and these quasi-friends had disappeared. This other fella had disappeared. Everyone had disappeared, and I was just laying on the ground. That wolverine should have told me, because I got right then. Don't even think of buffaloing unless you're ready. I also got, there's always someone bigger and tougher. My exit strategy was defined. That fall, when I went to high school, they came and said, you're going to be the superhero, right? I says, no way. Go away. And it took me about a month to chase all the ones that wanted me to save someone away. But I got. This wasn't a game that I wanted to play for the rest of my life. And it wasn't fear of someone bigger and stronger beating me. It was knowledge that someone bigger and stronger would beat me. And although I participated in physical sports through many years later, many years more, I always got that you're going to find someone bigger and stronger, and it has nothing to do with fear. Calmly knowing that someone's going to beat you, and also knowing that a gun can level you without, no matter how strong and how powerful you are. So, Mr. Fear moved me around, kept me protected. But just my friend Fear and I came to a compromise, and he didn't have to warn me, because I knew. As a player in life, you play it close, and you work with your survival first, and then you help all the rest around you.